and I don't know what came across my head, but I turned around and I goes, ironic, isn't it? Like, you're pure sweating after a gym session, and here's me going up with chips in a pint.
Why? Why did you say anything? You could have just kept your head down. That's so awkward.
But the worst thing was, what did you say? The worst thing was,
What did you say?
Here's the crack, here's the crack, here's the crack, here's the crack, here's the crack. Welcome back, talking shit and drinking wine. Like and subscribe. Here's the crack.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Here's the Crack podcast. Getting straight into it, Thomas, you have something that you'd like to bring to the table, something you wish to discuss.
Do it?
Oh, I believe you do.
Yeah, so F1's obviously a big thing now. Everybody loves the Netflix series, and I was watching a bit of Silverstone at the weekend, and one thing that I was thinking, like, why are celebrities allowed into, like, the garage, like the paddock? Like?
Is this in reference to the whole the TikTok that went round of Tom?
Oh no,
Tom the Spider-Man, and he bounced the tire.
Tom Spider-Man.
No, it was just like I was watching it the weekend, like Tom Cruise was in the garage and all these celebrities going into the garages, and it's a regular thing.
I seen Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, they're in like the proper like paddocks with like the teams with all their headphones on, just watching it, and I'm just like surely, like, why are they just let in there just because they're celebrities? Like, surely they should just be watching from the stands.
So I would say there probably is a thing in Formula One where you can buy a package where you experience like going in and like,
but like you wouldn't be allowed in there. Like they're in the actual garage with the Red Bull team.
Yeah, I suppose it is.
Where like the car's pulling in and getting doing the pit stop and all.
I suppose it is people doing like jobs. Like they're there to do a job.
Surely Gordon Ramsay's not doing fuck all in paddock, like.
No.
Unless he's making them dinners.
But that's the point I mean, is like, why are they allowed in? Like surely they could get on the way, or like
there'd have to be safety briefs and all before they go in.
They'd be discussing tactics and all, like, and like the way I thought of it is like, you don't see Tom Cruise sitting on the bench for United, like, just because he's a celebrity and just because he wants to watch a United game, like.
Yeah. Or
like in the dressing room at half time, just a few celebrities just standing there because they wanted to go to the game. Like, why? It doesn't make sense to me.
But it's F1's one of those sports where it's dominated by money, like. So if fans watching it are going to see these famous people in the paddocks, it's going to be another reason for them to watch or talk about it, and another way for them to make money. I'm sure them celebrities pay a lot of money to be in the paddock as well. Like.
I don't know. Like, do you think so?
I would say
think
they're just a very presence. It's like, oh, let him in.
Like, is it a publicity thing? Just like, oh, Tom Cruise is in the Red Bull garage, like he's a fan of the Red Bull team.
Do you think he's there though because of the whole Top Gun movie and then Mission Impossible movie?
No, but you see, it happens
it
happens all the time. It's not just, it didn't just happen at the weekend. Like, there always is like celebrities in there, like, and I don't get it.
No, I don't get it either, to be fair. Like, you always see celebrities like do like at the NBA games and stuff, but they're sitting
in the crowd. That's my point. Is like they're not just like in the crowd and the cameras panning.
Like, it is weird. I
like,
suppose.
why is that? Like?
Don't know.
Like, why is that allowed to happen? Why is it acceptable?
But you could say it's not really that dangerous of a place in the paddock.
Well,
whereas outside of it,
they're
not exactly putting on tires and stuff on the car.
It's not dangerous, but it's like you have the pit team and all in there, and like they're like just watching and discussing tactics and stuff. I would imagine. Like, I'm not a big F1 fan. Like, it seems weird.
Yeah,
like.
you wouldn't have someone in like Old Trafford in the changing room, like a celebrity just.
That's what it just said.
I suppose though, like when you look at it, like it would be interesting to see how the reaction is. So like, obviously that big crash happened at Formula One. Like, this podcast will go out like a couple of weeks after this, but like that big crash happened at Formula One. Like, imagine if that was like Gordon Ramsay was in the Red Bull area and that was a Red Bull car and they were just like, get out, like, oh my word, get out. Like, we didn't expect for this like pure meltdown happening and all. Like, he would be in. But then I suppose when you look at it, like, I know it's a stark like kind of difference, but like you go on, I'm thinking it more of like an experience tour where like they're not actually like involved or in the way. Like, you even look like we got a tour of the Jameson factory. So like, or like even you get a tour of Bush Mills and you go through like a room and it's where all the bottles are going through and all. Like, that's an experience where you're like, why, you know what I mean?
No, but you're not in with the workers, like where they're working away. Like.
I think it's just a modern thing that sports are doing now. Like, you see YouTube boxing, like anybody, like celebrities all boxing in an, like, you would,
Or
it's
like
sort of in an attempt to get younger people to watch boxing and stuff. Like, similar to having like a celebrity in there, it might like gain an audience from people who like that celebrity and
I
stuff.
just find it weird.
I even suppose when it comes to the boxing stuff that we've watched, you always see like the likes of like Pete Davidson was in like the dressing room before it was Mike Tyson went out and fought.
Was that Jake Paul?
Yeah, like he was in the dressing room beforehand. And
I would say it's intrigued us, like having seen celebrities and stuff in there. Like, I wouldn't watch a boxing match with just,
I suppose, like if a
boxers,
if a celebrity goes with like their daughter or their son or something, and they're like, you know, oh, here, leveraging their celebrityness,
but that's different,
to be like, oh, here, can we go down to the pits? And they're obviously going to be like, yeah, no problem. Because it's, then as well as that, you obviously have to think like, oh, if someone was a massive fan of Tom Cruise, it's like, oh, Tom Cruise is in the Red Bull tent, he must be a Red Bull fan. Then you've got more supporters for Red Bull, more income coming in. I think it is a marketing thing, but I do see where you're coming from. Like, it's a bit sort of like, why are they there?
It just doesn't make sense to me, you know?
Yeah,
I suppose you can't exactly have them drive it in the cars, but we actually in Le Mans 24-hour,
Michael Fassbender.
yeah, celebrities actually drive the cars of celebrity teams,
But
where the celebrities drive the cars.
Like
and
a
all.
proper racer now, no?
Yeah, but they'll just have random people in too. Like, they've probably done a bit of training, you know, track driving and shit like that. But like, you can pay to get your own car entered into that. Like, not your own car. Like it has to be to spec. Like, but to have celebrity teams and stuff. Like.
Do you think it's awkward for celebrities whenever they're taking part in like for celebrity sports people, and then like you have a celebrity? So say like you were an NFL and you're an NFL player and you win the Super Bowl, and you don't know Kevin Hart personally. You just know Kevin Hart because he's Kevin Hart, and he walks up to you afterwards and pure starts like, you've just won the Super Bowl, like you probably want to go and be with your family and pure celebrate. And then Kevin Hart walks over and he's like, oh, congratulations and all. Like, there's that kind of thing where just because they're both of them are celebrities, they're automatically like, oh, pure chummy and getting photos with each other. Like, you see McGregor all the time. Like, McGregor gets photos with the likes of, like, he was at a thing there recently, like some awards show, and he met Jared Leto.
Right.
And the two of them are sitting taking photos and all together like this. And it's like, if you were Jared Leto, you probably don't really know, like, you know Conor McGregor, but you don't know him on a personal level, and he just pure walks up and he's like, yeah, like, is that barrier broken because it's just two celebrities where you just automatically like, that's part of your life?
I don't know. I just think it's like when you're that famous, like, people feel like they know you. Like.
Yeah,
But it's something they can relate to as well. Like, like celebrities being in the limelight. Like.
That's true. Like.
Yeah. But I do think it's weird. Like, I do think it's weird. I get you.
Should it be allowed?
They mustn't cause any harm. It's one of those things. I'm just a bit like, why?
It's
but
a flex. Like,
why can't they just stand and, like, I'm sure there's a VIP section and like they're just in the paddock watching it on a TV. They're not like actually up, you know.
You probably prefer to be up on the fucking stands actually seeing it live. Like.
I suppose though, as I say, it is an experience thing. Like, you hear Stephen Bartlett now on Diary of a CEO, he's like, we invite 8 people in to watch this podcast live every week.
Yeah.
And you're like, right, so it kind of weirds me out because I was listening to that recent podcast.
It's not even a crowd. Like, it's like,
but like,
that's so awkward.
The other day I was listening to that podcast that he did with Brewdog's CEO, and at the end of it he was like, we record this show in my house in LA. So I'm like, right, you're inviting 8 randomers to your house. Like, for all you know, that could be like a pure Stephen Bartlett like fanboy, and he's just like, I know where you live now.
I know, but I'm sure they do some sort of checks on them and all that.
I know, but like, I don't think he records it from his house now. I just don't.
He's probably got multiple houses.
So so say a year ago, 2 years ago, we're still recording this podcast in your house, at your flat, right? And it absolutely blew up, and we were like, right, we're gonna invite 3 people along to sit on the sofa. Would you invite people around to your house?
Do it, no, but like the likes of him probably has like security and shit, like proper shit for
I suppose.
He could get assassinated. Like.
He could.
Bang,
Podcast assassination. But no, I agree with you. Like, I agree with you. It's strange, and maybe it's something we'll just never know.
Yes.
If anybody's listening who maybe knows the answer, please let us know, because
comment, message, DM.
Exactly. Moving on then to our main topic of the week, which is
Customer service.
and jobs.
Jobs.
So, probably the best thing to start, well, the best place to start is the beginning. What was your first job?
First job. Working on the shop. Stacking shelves.
For
Emerson's.
Emerson?
Normal. For like $3.40 an hour.
That's what I was just about to say.
Jesus.
My first job was in a company. It was like a wee phone shop, and they're not open in Ballymena anymore. They are open in Coleraine. But I got a job with them and worked for £4 an hour. And I remember a year in, I got a promotion to £5 an hour, and I was buzzing.
Winning.
I was
Dub.
I remember coming home and saying to my dad, I was like, he's giving me I'm on a £5 an hour, and then I was pure torn up, and I was like, that means if I go in and work 5 hours on a Saturday, I'm getting fit 25 quid.
Your dad's like, poof.
My dad was like, that's so good, and now I look back on it and I'm like, why are you lying to me?
You're fucking lying.
You know what I mean?
It's mad though, because the fucking rate of inflation is actually quicker than you'd get a pay rise nowadays.
Yeah.
Like the next year, the minimum wage is probably £5.
Yeah.
So like it's just like constantly at its back, like catching up with it.
Yeah. But what was your first job?
I worked for my ones for ages when I was younger. But first like proper employer.
What were you doing? Like you
working.
weren't showing around houses and all that?
No, I did photography and stuff for mum when I was younger, taking pictures of houses. And
What age were you there?
16, high
That's
school.
good.
Like,
That's actually that would be a good job to get into. That pays a lot.
but it was family rates. Like
No, I
you
know.
know, you can't.
You
Yeah,
weren't getting paid.
someone wasn't
Heat,
getting that.
light, and food. Like.
So yeah.
I could imagine that conversation. I couldn't imagine working for family. Like you coming along and you're like, I'm out here all day taking pictures of houses. Like, what are you paying me? And I would say, like, your man and dad are probably like, I put a roof over your head.
Roof.
Shit like that. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. But first proper paycheck, like proper company, was actually the bookies.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I was actually 18 that I got like a physical pay slip.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think actually, I think I only started off on like $4.50.
Yeah.
Like even back then, I do remember £4 an hour being on it. No, because you can't start the bookies until you're 18.
Oh, that's right. When you were $4.50.
Yeah,
$4.50.
it was so low, like.
Man.
But like that's fucking. What would you do with $4.50 an hour now? Like? Couldn't
You
do
wouldn't do
fuck
it.
all. It wouldn't pay you to go to work. Like.
Buy a Friday in the shop. Friday.
Freddie.
Caramel Freddy.
But like, even look at it now. Like if you were going in and working 5 hours on a Saturday, that's 25 quid. Like.
I'd rather just not go in. Like.
That's right, like.
I wouldn't get out of bed for 25 quid.
It's probably cost me £25 to drive up here to record this podcast and fuel. Like,
Yeah, right now.
Boo-hoo.
like not. But
Crimea River.
it's mad. Like you look
There's
at
kids
it.
in Africa that don't have cures.
Exactly. Tell me about it. So
What was your first job?
I've said it.
Did
Because you were
you?
listening.
You're not
Yeah. My first job was a mobile phone shop, which then led me to. Yeah, I remember.
What did you 16?
I was actually 15 whenever I
Is that
started.
legal?
You getting promotions?
So I
When you're 15,
I
16?
started whenever I was 15 because my national insurance number came in like 6 months before I was 16.
Just about to say you can't legally work till you're 16 until you get your
but,
national insurance number.
Yeah,
But
it was like pure.
how did you do that?
I just went in and I said,
We got
"Here's-"
this national insurance.
but then
number
it was
early.
literally just a case of like I was paid. Some weeks I was paid cash, and some weeks I was
Cash
paid
in hand,
like,
hey.
Some of the two.
Saying on.
like some
You're
weeks I
paying
was
blue
paid
jobs.
cash. Some weeks I was paid cash, and some weeks I was paid just bank transfer. Like
That's dodgy. Like.
it's dodgy, innit? But like I remember then,
Big enough
whenever-
company too, like to
like-
be doing that shit. Like.
No, like it wasn't. Like,
Just
it was
the
a,
phone
it was a
shop.
second-hand mobile phone
Oh,
shop.
I
like.
thought it was fucking.
Phone
It's
wire.
rough.
No,
Right,
it was
like
like
cash
dodgy.
in
It was
hand.
like a shack. It was
Oh,
like
right,
it was
right.
like a shacky or more like B-Tech version of Uber phone.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like it was just a fella who ran a shop buying
Mobile. It was called Mobiles 4 less with a number 4 instead of 4.
Like it was just a fella who just bought cases off eBay and all and just sold them on.
What a gay.
That was it.
It's
Like,
dead.
business model.
Top man.
Bang. Like.
Chap man.
But I remember I went in right. And
No way.
Like I remember
That's
going in and, like,
mad.
you were like you were younger at the time, so like anything, like anybody who like give you an opportunity, you were pure like yes, like 100%. I remember he was explaining like there was like a code system, so like we put like a sticker on like a label on like a phone case, so say it was like £8, but like at the top it said like 0000000, and if it said like 200, that meant it was like £2. So you knew like what what they bought it in for and what they were selling it on. And I remember I was pure like, lad, this is crazy, like this is unreal, like, pure learning. And it took me so long to learn it, and you know, you look back and you're like, God bless my little pea brain, like just couldn't have fathomed, like understand it all, like, do you know what I mean? And I remember like I wasn't allowed to sell secondhand phones, like I was just there to, like, at the first like couple of weeks I was just there to like hoover the shop, and like I worked with a girl.
You don't touch a phone.
I worked with a girl and she was like 25, but it clearly was like her first job as well, like,
And she was 25.
yeah, like it clearly was her like first job, like, and someone like, but she was just like, oh, if there's anybody who comes in and wants to buy a phone, just pass them over to a senior member of staff. And I'm like, a senior member of staff? Like, you're the only one here with me. You know what I mean? Like, you look back at it now and you're like, oh,
just like,
yeah,
Her
like,
picking herself up like,
yeah.
I'm a senior member of staff.
But yeah, like it was like who had there was always that person in school who had the coolest job though. Like, who had the coolest like first job whenever you were in school? In your year,
I feel like everyone just worked in fucking shops in our school.
yeah, I worked in shops and then bars. Like, your job was handy. Like you had a good,
But I only had that for the end of school.
And like,
Like.
you worked with all like our mates, so like you worked around and all like so like, it would have been good crack. Like.
It was good, but it was, I suppose every job would have been, it's all late nights, like after coming home from school, and like I only worked it for half a year because it was obviously only 18 for.
Yeah.
Oh, it was probably a full year actually.
You were there ages though.
Because my birthday's September, so it started in like November or something. Like.
But that's such a good job that getting.
It is,
Like,
yeah.
for a first job, like
It's handy, like.
I done so many shit jobs, and then I got into Sainsbury's, and that's just such a piece of piss.
Yeah.
Such good money.
I remember the place to be was like Silver Service down our way, like Silver
What's that?
Service for like.
That sounds like a fucking security.
It was
squad.
like Silver Service for
You'd fit in there,
Galgore,
right?
or Silver Service for like Tully Glass Hotel. So it was basically like there was a wedding on and you were a waiter, but you were like only like for weddings. So like basically like the.
Did you have a wee badge and all?
That
No.
suits you down to the ground, like you were literally Silver Service. Like.
I never.
Silver Service. He was the fucking
I walked
brand
in and they were like,
ambassador.
I never
face of the
did it. I never. But I remember there
The
was
Silver
like
Fox.
You missed out. That was your
Silver
calling.
Fox
Eh?
and
That was
Silver
your calling.
Service. Me walking over like polishing spins and
You
all.
walk into a job interview. So why do you think you're qualified for this job, Ross? Well, look at my hair. Do
But,
I need to say any more?
Yeah, like it was always like the job to have, like whenever you were like, because a pile of people did it who were in RU, and then as well as that, because when you worked for like Galgore and stuff, like a lot of people were like, oh, you get to like have wee trips into the spa and all.
But
And
I
everybody was
hated
like,
being a waiter. Like, it was shit. Like.
I've never done that, but
Like,
I
I
don't think
used
I
to
like
do
it.
functions and all in the hotel. Like.
Yeah.
Grim, like.
yeah.
So bad. Like.
I do remember
But
a
it used to
couple
be
of the
class.
ones like in our school, like who quit,
Yeah.
you know, school, and then they got jobs in construction working down in Dublin, and they were lifting like 500 quid a week, and you're like, holy fuck, lad, that is sick.
Yeah.
That's so much
You
money.
could do
But that was a
now,
lot of
like.
money back then.
You
Like.
could do it now,
You
like.
could, like, but it was fucking so much money back then whenever you're like, what, 15 or 16, 17, like.
500 quid a week, still a lot of money.
Still, it's a lot of money, like,
Yeah,
but
I remember there was a fella in our year, and in lower sixth he went on work experience, and he went to a car place, like a car's like to get
Dealership.
experience in like being a car salesman, and they offered him a job, and he dropped out of school.
Do you make serious dough?
Yes.
Commission
But
and all.
like he's not at it now. Like.
what's he getting now?
Party is really stressful though. Like you have targets and all.
Yeah, I think what happened was he went for like 2 weeks experience and got a proper like
Paid
Gucci,
check,
like,
man.
oh, this is class. Why am I wasting my time in school?
Yeah.
And I think now
See, that's the
there's a
thing.
regret
You
there,
can go
like.
back to uni and repeat uni, but you can't repeat high school. Like.
you can go to tech and get like,
Yeah,
but
it's
it'll
in high
never.
school, like.
I don't know if you can say this, but it'll never be like viewed the same. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I know for my A levels,
Oh.
I done 3 A levels. I did history, media, and then I done a BTEC in construction because it was piss easy.
Yeah.
And everybody always looked down on it. Everybody was like, but it's not an A level. And I'm like, but it's the same amount of UCAS points.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Hacks.
I did the same actually. I did that construction BTEC as well.
Yeah. One of the questions in one of our exams was name this piece of equipment. So you had to name 6 pieces of equipment.
Is this A level or GCSE?
A level. That was
You don't have an exam.
Yeah.
Ours
No,
was
it wasn't
coursework.
an exam, it was coursework. So basically one of the questions was provide 6 plant machinery that is used on
Yeah.
site and you had to like put in open up a Word document, put in a picture of a dump truck, and go,
Yeah,
this
that's
is a
right.
dump truck description.
You had to
This is what
explain
it's
what it
used
does
for.
and shit,
That
like,
got-
yeah.
that got-
Hey, joke.
While
It's
every
so
like
easy.
you even said this to me, so me and him were talking about jobs the other day, and a job had come up that he was interested in, and I said, oh, it's a lot, like it's data driven, like it's a lot of maths and stuff. To which Thomas was like, I done maths A level, and I was like, how hard must you have studied for maths A level versus like me and him doing construction? It's a dump truck.
They studied so hard and still got a D. Like. Actually, like.
I took maths A level and then
So-
dropped it
it's
after
so
like
hard.
3 weeks.
Like it's like I got like B's and C's in certain modules, like,
Yeah.
but like there was just 2 modules that were just ridiculously hard. Like.
I remember for AS level, the school I went to, maybe yours was the same. They made you pick 4 AS levels, and then you dropped one after a year.
No.
You didn't
Yeah.
have to do that,
Yeah.
but people did. Like.
I done
So-
4 and dropped 1 after
Yeah.
3 weeks, which was maths.
I done for the first year. I did economics, and I thought I would love economics because people were like, it's about the psychology of like the economy and all, and it literally was just all graphs. And I was like, this is terrible. Like it is awful.
Yeah.
It's mad though whenever you're in high school, like everyone doing like 4. There was I done 5 A levels in our school. Like, got 5 4 A stars and an A. Like. You look back now, it's like that's fucking pointless. Like,
Get a fucking life, like.
what's the need for that? Like, do the bare minimum, get into uni.
Here's
sort of,
here's another question for you. Do you not? Well, the phrase that everybody used to say whenever you were doing A level, like coming up to the end of A level, you were like, "This is so hard. This is really like I hate this." And every single uni student always said, "Just get your A levels done. Once you get onto uni, you'll be fine." And that statement is so true.
It's the hardest thing you'll ever do.
It is
Everyone used to
A level.
say.
If you are
Oh
listening
yeah,
to this,
everyone used to say like GCSEs and A levels are sort of the same, or ASs are the same as uni. Like,
if you are
Uni's
listening to
not
this
as hard as
podcast
Uni
right
is a
now,
piece of piss,
like,
though.
yeah, if you're well, it depends. I don't think all courses are a piece of piss.
Yeah, well, like-
but at the same time, if you're listening to this right now and you're doing A levels, like just weather the storm. Once you're out,
It's easy to say that though.
I was gonna say is that like 16-year-olds, but like no, you're 18. It's like is our demographic 16-year-olds?
17-year-olds, because you're learning how to drive. But like,
But-
our course was
Peace of
was it?
It was just, like, it wasn't hard, was it? Like, let's be real.
Yeah, our course, if you had applied yourself, pretty much the same as any course, you probably would have got it. Like, you 2-1, and I don't feel like any uni lecturer wanted you to. They kind of handed you everything on a silver platter. Like, where they were like, "Oh, here."
Yeah.
They were the silver service of the education system. Man.
Fuck, like. The customer service.
Receiver.
What was like the worst?
Off topic there.
What was like the worst experiences you had working in customer service? Like, shit customers. Like,
I'll let you go first.
Oh, I was gonna let you go first.
do you want me to go?
This one just can't. It's not shit. It is shit experience, but it wasn't to me. It's kind of off topic, but right. There was some guy sitting like in the bookie. Have you ever been? You've obviously been to bookies. You've been to bookies, but in a bookies, for people who don't know, it's generally like a big long floor with like tables in the middle and just a wall of screens. So like whenever you're looking down the floor, people are just all staring, looking up at the screens. So this young fella came in, and like he said, he's probably about like 20, 21 or so, and he was standing there like he didn't really know what he was doing. He was just sort of standing there with his arms folded. He was a bit fidgety and stuff.
Yeah.
And there was this guy who came in. He like just your usual, and he always brought his dog in. Like.
Yeah.
So brought the dog in up to the till and all. He was doing his bats and shit. And nearby, he was just standing there real awkwardly, like arms folded and shit, looking at the TV. Next thing I looked up, and the dog took a shit on his shoe. No word of a lie, man. And he just stood there. He just stood there, and like then fucking he was looking up and he was looking down and he was looking up and he didn't know what to do. He fucking freaked out, like,
Yeah.
and just fucking walked out, and there was shit all over the floor, like dog shit. Like, it was such an awkward experience, and I had never seen the lot after
Did
it.
you
Like,
have to clean it up?
no, I never fucking cleaned it up. The person who brought the dog in cleaned it up. Like.
Did I?
Yeah.
Did you say to them? You're like, you may clean that up.
They seen it
today?"
whenever they came back in. I don't know. I didn't say to them. The person beside me was like, I think your dog just shit there. Like. But they didn't. I think I was the only one who seen that
What
the dog
happened?
shit on his shoe, and he
Yeah.
left. He tried to get out without anyone seeing it, but he was such like an awkward and timid lad. He just sort of snuck out,
What do you do?
and he
there,
came
like?
back. He came back a few hours later, like, and she was clean, like. But imagine just someone's dog. I'd fucking boot it,
No, it's cat,
with chatting you.
What about you?
I have so many, like.
Yeah,
Actually, so many. I remember there was one time I used to work in a shop and like was working at the till, and like, you know, like you work at the till. It was one of them shops. It was like a spar, like, and like go in, you scan the stuff. Do you need a bag? Blah blah blah. That was it. This guy comes in, scan his stuff. Do you need a bag? No. And then he like gives me it or whatever, and I give him his change. And then he goes, "Oh, here, should keep that." And then he's like, "Alright," like as in the throw it in the box or whatever. And then he's like, "Oh, sure, keep that and buy yourself a personality." And I was like, thanks. And like one of my mates used to work with just looked at me and was laughing. He was like, "Hey, you're acting," like, and I'm just sitting there like, fuck off, like.
Yeah.
He's definitely thinking about that one for a while.
Yeah.
He's like, can't know allowed.
But like what, like that's what annoys me about it. And then I remember the boss there at the time took me, like there was one time like it was like a family owned bit like business, like obviously like families own spars and shit, like. So like he took me in one day in behind, like into the room with the cameras and
the cameras don't look.
he took me back into the
He give you a personality.
He took me into the office with the cameras and he got me up on the camera and he goes, "Alright, look at this." And I was like serving a customer and I was shitting myself thinking, have I like took money out of the till or something? And I was like, "Oh fuck," like, and then like was like, "What is going on?" And he's like, "Look at this." And he's like, "Oh, like you didn't even like smile at this customer or nothing and all." And then he's like, "This customer rang me then when they came out and all this here was fucking auntie or something." And he was like going on at me. He's like there's people that would love to be working here. There's people that would kill for this job, and like I have people ringing me looking jobs all the time and all, giving me this big lecture, and you sitting there on minimum wage, like.
Yeah.
He's like, "There's people lining up to work here," and I was like, right, like, you know, I was just like, oh fuck.
He wouldn't be saying that nowadays, like.
No way.
Like,
No.
oh,
He fucking wants a job.
That fucks me off though, like when
Yeah.
you're getting paid minimum wage and like people are like, there's people lining up to work here, and you're like,
But as well as
"Go away,
that,
fuck,
like I feel like a lot of them like family run businesses, like they're so set in their ways where they don't realise that like what he's said has now, like, you will never smile at a customer after that again, like you may be like,
But then I went
like,
out.
you're never gonna be.
But then I went out then and was like trying to be more like nice, like, and I was like saying to people, I was like, "Oh well, how's your day going? How are you?" And then just be like, "Oh, what's the crack?" And there would be people, I would be like, "Oh well, what's the crack today?" And they'd just look at me like, "What?"
Yeah.
And then you're just like, right, well, what the fuck do you want from me here?
Yeah.
Like that's what I hate. Like, oh, just nightmare. But I couldn't get over that by. And then there was a cunt that came in. I have so many shit customers. There's a cunt that came in one time, and he got electric. And you know the way when you get electric from the meter, you get the wee sheet with a code on it.
Yeah.
This guy came in and got like 20 quid electric, and he went away and all came back in, made a fucking scene, and was like, "You didn't give me that there, the receipt." And I goes, "I definitely give you the receipt," like. And all this here, and made a scene, was like, "Oh, you didn't give it to me," and all, and you didn't give it to me, and I was like, I knew I did, like.
Yeah.
And then he kept going on and on, and then I was starting to doubt myself. And the manager came over, who was a bitch, by the way, like. She came over and was like, she didn't like me anyway. She was like, "Oh, did you not give him a receipt?" And I goes, "I did." And she goes, "Did you give it to him?" And he's like, "Yeah, I definitely did." And then I was sort of doubting myself. She goes, "Did you get," like, making a whole big thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, fuck this." The thing, and I don't know if they printed it out or what they done. Like, I was like, "Oh, go check the cameras and all," but they wouldn't, like. And then
Why would they not check that?
I know, because they were just fucking dickheads. So then he went away after making a scene, like, came back 20 minutes later, and he's like, "I'm just after finding that receipt in my driver's door."
Did he say sorry?
Yeah, and he's like, "I'm so sorry," and all, and he goes, "And you give it to you," like.
You weren't even like, "Oh, don't worry about that." I
was
fucking
like,
knew.
I was like, I told you to give it to you. Like, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I goes like, "I stayed on." Like, and he's like, "Oh, do you want me to go and tell your manager?" And all. And I was like, "No, it's grand." And then I said to the manager, I was like, "Oh, he just came in there to get. I did give him the receipt." It's like, "Fuck you."
What did she say?
Fucking bitch.
What did she say?
I can't remember, but I just remember at the time she didn't like me, and I was just like, "Yeah."
You should have just
I
walked
knew.
right out of
You
that
know
point.
when you know, like.
Yeah.
But that was another one.
Do you ever? I was in the shop today. You know that whenever you're in the local shop and like you're having a chat with everyone, like, and you're talking to everyone.
Going around
Do you
the shop,
ever-
"Oh shit, lad."
Yeah, basically like big celebrity in town and all that. Like, would you ever like?
About town.
Do you ever like talk to a couple of people and then you get out of the shop and you're like, "Why the fuck did I say that?" Like, just have a real moment of like, did I sound like an absolute cock there whenever I was in there chatting? Like? because I was chatting to a wee lad today. He's like, out this weekend or what? And I was like, nah, lad, few house parties, like. Me 24, like, as if I ain't going to a fucking house party. Like, I goes, nah, lad, few house parties, something. Not spending any money this weekend, like. What? Like, what the fuck, Shea? Like, what the fuck?
I turned around and was like, where's house party going? Mine?
I was like, probably just lie in my bedroom and have a few curs.
Just sitting in the yard, it's like, what the fuck did I say?
Has that never happened to you? Like,
no.
All the time. It was going so good. Like, I got through the whole shop, talked to about 5 people, having real good chat.
About 5 people? Like, what the not lad, this podcast isn't that famous, like.
No, I obviously didn't think I was fucking celebrities. Like, I just knew them. Like, so I was like talking like 5
Shea, lad,
I was waiting on my food.
Yeah.
So like I was chatting to people whenever they were coming in and out of the shop.
She's
like,
literally, give me the receipt. I need to expense that back from the podcast.
I got the whole way through the shop, good combos and shit, like good chats.
Good vibes.
I was like, you want to go for a chat? Like, let's go.
Pulling people for
then
a shot.
just the last one, like the fucking cashier in there just got me, and then I was sitting in the car, and I actually did go to myself, dickhead. Just why did you say that? Like,
you're just like, why the fuck?
I was like, oh, dickhead.
And then he walks past the car and just shouting himself in the car.
It's like so close, almost 5 stars.
I just get to the stage now where, like, in my one's actually said this to me the other day. Mom actually got really irate about it. She was like, whenever you were younger, you used to just be so bubbly and friendly and just say hi to everybody and make eye contact. And she was like, now you just sit there and say nothing and you can't even make eye contact with people. And I'm like, what? Like, we were out a walk and we had met one of our neighbours and they were pure talking away to me, and I was just giving them like I'm working away, you know, all that there. But like, Mom was like, you barely made eye contact with her, and I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? Like, whenever I was younger, I wanted to tell people,
talking to people like,
yeah,
like, how was your day?
But like, I normally find as well.
She's talking.
What was?
Like, right. Fucking look me in the eyes.
Don't break eye contact, cunt.
I've got it, and I thought I would never tell this, right? But I'm just gonna say it, right?
You should start a new segment. Ross's deep and darkest secrets.
No, this actually happened recently, and it was kind of like your moment, but it just was bad. So I was over working in England, right? And the English people, sometimes you get them and they're dead on. Sometimes they just don't want to speak, right? And I'm happy enough for that. On a normal day, I'm happy enough that, like, I don't communicate with anybody. Like, I just want to go into the hotel, go up to my room, and like, I normally, if I get on and there's someone on the elevator, I will in my head go, I'll maybe wait for the next elevator, because I don't want to have an awkward conversation.
That's even more awkward whenever you open an elevator and someone's standing there and they're like, you getting in?
The door to keep it open, and Ross just standing there like,
I'll get the next one.
So I
oh my god.
So basically, right, I was away over in England, got back from the office, and went on the treadmill, right, done 5k on the treadmill, pure sweating, then went downstairs, went in, like, there was like a sauna and a pool and stuff, went in the sauna and all, so pure sweat out, and I realised I hadn't really drank anything. Now, this only occurred whenever I went up to the room, got showered, got changed, and then I'm going to go down to the hotel bar, get a wrap and bring it up to the room. So I went down to the bar. The girl was like, oh, your wrap's going to be about 15 minutes. And I went, all right, sweet, no bother. Could I get a pint of Corona? You're like, yeah, no bother. So give me a pint of Corona, and the next minute your girl came over, like, literally 5 minutes later, like maybe 5-10 minutes later, with the wrap, and she was like, oh, done. And I went, oh, and I'd sent you the Snapchat of me having the pint.
Yeah.
So I downed the pint. Now, I hadn't drank like water or anything, done a 5k on an indoor treadmill, sweated the bit out, like, I went straight to my head. And then I went, oh, I'll have another pint of Corona and I'll take it up to the room. Because at that stage, you're kind of like, the alcohol hit you and you're like, oh, you know, I'll maybe stretch it to another one. So that was all right. Had the thing in my hand, had the pint in my hand, got in the elevator, and there was this girl, and she clearly just been out of the gym, and like, me and her were going up in the elevator, and I don't know what came across my head, but I turned around and I goes, ironic, isn't it? Like, you're pure sweating after a gym session, here's me going up with chips and a pint.
Why did you say anything? You could have just kept your head down. That's so awkward.
But the worst thing was,
What did she say?
the worst thing was,
What did you say?
the worst thing was about this. There was a mirror on the elevator, and I was talking to her on the mirror. So I was just like,
What do you mean?
I
How
was,
like-
so
She was standing to your side.
she was standing where Shay's at.
Yeah.
So I was looking in the mirror at her, but she was pure like AirPod and sweating like she clearly done a 5K on a treadmill. It was on the way up to her room. But I get in, and then I had seen that she was on the 4th floor. So I was like, all right, we're clearly going up here together. And then I just was sort of standing there, and I could feel the drink hitting me, and I just kind of giggled and went like, and then I looked at her, and I was like, how ironic is it that like you're pure sweating after a gym session, and here's me with chips and a pint like that there, and she just went. At this stage, we were only at the 1st floor, and I was like, "Get me off this elevator right now!"
I thought that was gonna be so disappointing. But it's so
It was.
I would have just got off at the next floor. Fuck that.
Just jumped down.
Just
the
open
elevator.
the elevator.
That's just. It's not like me now. Like I prefer to just say nothing, but it just.
How
like,
do you have a girlfriend? Like,
I don't even, but like it's even like we went to Clevie Castle
God.
to stay that time, and the girl like pure really good customer service there. Like
I thought that was gonna be really
they
good
take
something else.
they take your bags and bring it to the room and all.
yeah,
But like I would just prefer to take the bags up to the room myself. Like.
yeah,
So we get checked in. The girl took our bags up the room, carried my bag.
right.
So like
It's not a big deal.
I'm like, right, it just is I don't know, it must be like a
Princess Ross.
chivalry thing, like where you're just like, oh no, I'll carry the bag, like. But if it was a fella, you'd be like, I'd take the bag, like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So bit dodgy of me, like. But got to the room, she opened the room and she came in and she opened up the blinds and all, and she was like, so this is here. And then she like walked to the door, but she still had the room key. So I walked after her, and then she handed me the room key, and as the door was closing, she goes, I hope you have a wonderful stay. And I went, thanks, you too. And the door shut. And I went, Lucinda went, thanks, you too. And I went, yeah, I heard it.
He did it.
She
He did
Goes
the
into
thing.
the
Like,
room, he is.
knocks the door.
Couldn't believe
Did you
it.
say you too?
Like, do you want to know something? See the interaction where the doll in the elevator. You know what it felt like? Tourette's. I've never had Tourette's, but it's just, like
I don't
it
think
just
it was.
You should have
literally-
played it
I
off
think,
as
like,
Tourette's,
It
like.
just literally came out, and I went, "How funny is it that you're in the gym and I'm for you know?" And she was just like,
Yeah.
"No way, never."
You're a
again.
dork, eh?
Just an ass. Like. I've never.
I
I,
bet you were fucking beating yourself up in the ring.
I got back in the
I
hotel.
can't believe I fucking done that.
Did you give yourself a pep talk after that?
Like she
I
left.
just remember Ross going into the room, getting into the toilet, and knocking on the mirror and being like, "You're a cock."
Who the fuck is this guy?
I just sat in the bottom of the shower and run the cold water. Never going out again.
Oh my
Him
god.
looking at himself in the mirror being like, it's funny how you fucking make awkward conversation with constant elevators.
But
Have you ever done? I could imagine you've done something like that.
What?
You've done something like that before.
Me?
I could imagine you've done something
Oh,
like
right.
that before.
All the time it happens to me. Like.
the
It's just
worst one
Oh,
I
common.
was
I
it
know.
up and that? Oh, there's no. I can't even remember what it was. I don't want to say in case I get it wrong. But moving on.
the worst one I would say, and I think I've explained this to on the podcast before, was whenever you lived in Fitzwilliam. And that night we ended up at Duncan's. You knew home early. Me
Yeah.
and Shay stopped off at a kebab shop,
Yeah.
and as we were coming back, there was a group of girls going into the apartment to the right of
Yeah.
your apartment. Shay ran down Fitzwilliam Street, got on top of his car, slid over the roof, and dropped down off the bottom. And as not like this was the night where he went out and like jumped on top of the bed that was lying in the street and cut his arm, and you had blood all over it. He looked like he'd been in a massacre. I was holding the kebab. Shay launched himself over the roof of the car, slid down the bottom. The girls were pure standing there going like, what the flip? And Shay just got up and was like, all right, I'm Shay, like, and she put your coat into the door and walked in, and I was like, I just walked in, I was like, I'm so sorry for him. And just shut the door, like.
Oh god.
But yeah, that's that. Never again.
No.
Reddit, you have
Have
some
we time?
customer services. Oh yeah, we've plenty of time. We've another. We'll need to wrap up in 10 minutes, but
And I do my question.
Yeah, go.
Question time.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the greatest show on earth.
it's Tommy's question time.
On the note of customer service, do you feel that it should be? Do you feel like it should be? What's the word?
Essential.
Do you think it should be essential for people to do a certain amount of time in customer service. Like, I feel like you can tell when someone hasn't worked in customer service.
Yeah.
Because they're an absolute wanker.
I feel like, because like we've all done a fair amount of years, like what, 6-7 years in customer service.
But I feel like it
Growing
brings
up,
you down a peg. Like, it makes you realise you are just dirt. Like.
So, like, for example, the other day I was on that plane and they'd cancelled the flight beforehand, and the woman beside us was pure like, I was here, and then they cancelled the flight, but yet they're on the, like, the flight attendants are on the PA system, like, acting like all's good, and I was just like, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Did you
like,
say
why he's up? Like, no, but obviously didn't say it to her because I'm. Well, we didn't know I had a couple of Coronas in me. I went to 5K. It's just so funny how you're complaining and I'm just sitting here streaming. I think it brings you down to earth. I think it should be something that the schools could maybe, like, you know, you go out to someone for like a month.
Yeah, like, I know the way you do, like, work experience in some schools, but, like, I feel like it should be a thing that, obviously it could be hard to get a job, but I think, like, you can tell people who haven't been, like, it definitely gives you, like, perspective. Like, there's just dickheads and there's nice people in life as well.
However, not to throw you under the bus, I feel like you're quite impatient at restaurants.
I know, but, like, I would never be rude to someone. But like,
you've never been rude, but
it's more just like, but like, us not really. I suppose that like, I would never be rude to the actual waitress or waiter, but like, that's more like the management side of things. Is like, if somewhere's understaffed, like if you're sitting for ages and like no one's came down to take your order and things, like, that's frustrating. Like it's things like that annoy me, like when places are understaffed. Like, even things like when you like go to a shop and it's fucking flat out and there's like one person on the till and you're just like, there's people stocking shelves and you're like, get on the fucking tills.
Oh, that's fucking annoying whenever you're standing like you waiting for ages and there's nobody at the till.
There's like someone standing beside you stacking the shelf and you're like,
you're just standing there, you're the only one there, like, you feel like such a fucking dickhead, like.
Yeah.
That happens all the time.
No, I do feel like it should be part of, like, I would say people would get more of an education, a real life education, by going out and doing like an actual work experience.
I think it's
in
even
customer service rather than sitting in a classroom.
It's even like learning the value of money
and counting money. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's a skill in itself. Like, if someone hands you a 20 and you've charged them £17.23p.
Like, I think it's more just like, there is people that I feel like haven't worked.
Yeah.
And they just don't understand the value of money.
Yeah.
Like, it is just like,
yeah,
they don't understand like working for money, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, Brona was telling me, like, one of her mates is doing medicine, and she was saying about like having to buy all the stuff, like there's stuff you have to buy, like books and shit, and how expensive it is. And she was saying that, like, she was in class one day and there's like a lot of like sort of Lisburn Road people, like people from over in England, like, who are like, you can rich, like. And she was like saying that, like, one of the girls turned around her and was like, why do you work at the weekends? Like, why don't you just enjoy being a student? And she was literally just like,
what a call.
Well, how the fuck am I going to pay for stuff? Like?
How the other half live?
Like, can you imagine?
That's mad.
Like, the fact that there's people like that is what I mean.
That's a big investment as a parent, though, like, just supplying all that money for your child. Like,
seriously,
think about the amount of money, like, you make, like, I know maybe you are only making like 200 quid at the weekend or something, and that does you for the week, but like, imagine doing that every week. Say you have 4 kids, like,
I know,
supplying fucking, I'm sure they're getting more than 200 quid, like. They're probably getting like fucking 400 quid a week, like.
But there's probably kids that go to uni and their parents pay their rent, like, and pay their fucking tuition.
But you never learn anything doing that, like.
That's what I mean. Mm-hmm. Do you agree then?
No, I do think, I just even think from like, I've been in so many shops and people have just been absolute dickheads, and you're just like, if you like, you clearly don't know what it's like to be at the other side of that till, and like, you doing what you're doing is flustering that person more, which is why they're making mistakes and fumbling, like. I just think I do think it's rude, like, to, but then I also feel like it's an education thing, like actually being in the real world, like. Have you got any customer service stories that you've pulled up on the big bad world of Reddit
reporter Shea?
They're very long. I actually had fucking another one I just thought of too, and who was there? The guy, there was one, were you with me that day that we were going to the races?
Right.
We were over in the corner bar.
Right.
Drinking away. I actually wasn't working in the biggies that day, but we were sending ones over. I couldn't bet in the bookies, like, so we were sending ones over. But I just went over with another guy. I can't remember who it was at the time. Went over with him to do the bets because we were going to the races, so we were doing a few bets before, like, with a bit of cash. And there's this guy who regularly came into the bookies, like, and he was a fucking dose, like. He was piss steaming drunk, but apparently he'd been over at the corner bar before that.
Yeah.
And he'd been using the toilets, and he'd shit in his hand and rubbed it up against the wall.
Oh yeah.
In the toilet, the cubicle of the toilet in the bar, and then he proceeded to go over to the bookies, which had it probably had like 10 or 15 people in it, with shit hanging out of his ass, like. And the trousers were like halfway down his ankles. His boxers, like, the man wasn't right in the head, like, and he had shit all over his fucking jeans and all. And he went in. He stank of shit anyway, like, even before that, like. He came in and he sat up on one of the stools with shit all over his ass. And it's like, no one actually noticed at the start because they thought, oh, he smells like shit anyway. And then I was like walking about. I just walked in after him and I was talking to the ones up at the till because I worked with him now. And we're all like getting kind of concerned because I couldn't see behind me, and they were like, oh my fucking god, look, he's just shot there and there's shit all over the floor and everything. Had to kick the man out and start cleaning. Thank fuck I wasn't working that day.
That's
like.
disgusting.
The girl had to come down from behind the counter and start cleaning the shit off the floor and off the seats, like. I think she just threw the chair out, like. And like,
imagine having to do that, like.
Man, I was so glad I wasn't working that day, like. But absolute filth, like, imagine being a dirty boss and doing that, like.
Disgusting.
Rotten.
I'll read one of these because they're really fucking long.
Yeah, we are running out of time as well.
Right. Many years ago, I used to pick up TVs for repair from customers' homes. I arrived at this house and an elderly woman answered the door. She showed me in. She turned her very old TV on to show me the problem. I could see that it was a blown tube and likely beyond economic repair, so I told her so. She said, no, you fix it now. I explained that I couldn't do that, and their best option was to buy a replacement, either new or used.
Yeah.
As I was telling her this, a figure appeared in the doorway behind her, moaning and staggering into the room. It was an elderly man in gaping pyjamas, with a long strand of thick drool hanging from his lower lip. The woman said, ignore him, that's my husband. He has Alzheimer's, fix the TV. I began explaining again that I couldn't do that, but while I was doing it, the woman started to just yell over and over again, fix it. And the husband kept staggering towards me like a demented zombie, moaning louder and louder and getting more agitated, with a strand of drool getting longer and longer, swaying below his chin level as he kept advancing. I said sorry, but I have to go back to the shop now, at which the woman screamed no and ran to the door, which led to the hallway, slammed it shut and stood in front of it with her arms outstretched to block my escape. The husband kept advancing with his drool, getting longer and longer, his moaning rising in pitch to a kind of wailing as I backed off until I was pinned between them both.
Oh my god.
All the time he's saying to the woman, I have to leave, and her screaming, no, fix it. The husband was within a couple of inches of me, and his swinging drool nearly touched my arm, and I was pressed against the woman. When I turned and as gently as possible pushed her out of the way, pulled the door open and ran out of the room, out to the front door of my van. As I started up the engine and pulled away, the woman was standing outside her front door screaming, I can't even read that, obscenities at me, and her husband was staggering about the front yard, groaning and crying with his drool down his chest, and his dick now visible through a cape in his pyjamas.
Oh, no.
An image forever burned in my brain.
Oh my god.
Your man's driving away and your boy just flings himself on the windshield.
That is the worst type of job where you have to go out to people's houses like that. Like, God knows what you'd fucking see, man.
Imagine.
No way would I be doing that.
That's fucking freaky. Like. What would you do in that situation? Like?
I'd run.
I think I'd have a fucking panic attack.
I would delete it.
I think you'd lie down and start crying. You'd think it's a dream. Like. You'd just be like,
imagine her, because when it's an elderly woman as well, especially.
I know, you can't push her out of the way.
I think I would have just went for the back door. Like.
Her back door.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but yeah.
You'd
need something else fixed after.
You'd be going for her back door, and then the old boy would be coming in after you, lubing you up.
But anyway, we'll round the podcast off with Ross's rants. So
Quick.
we'll be really quick, and I don't even know how to describe it. People who don't understand that they're in public spaces. So for an example, we were on our way down from Dublin on the train. The boy who took business calls the whole way from Dublin to Belfast.
Oh, fucking what a cock, like.
Dick.
Think he was even on the phone, like.
The whole train out there.
And the worst thing was his voice was so annoying as well, so drony.
He was like,
well, Martin, how's it going? Did the wood come to you yet? Well, it all depends. This sale all depends on how this phone call goes. You're like, cock. Shut up.
If you met a lad like that in business, you'd just be like, you're a fucking cock.
No one takes people like that seriously.
No.
Like, that's clearly someone who started the day watching some absolute gobshite flipping influencer entrepreneur and has been like, oh yes, I'm just going to go out and attack the day. You know what I mean?
He's the sort of lad, like, whenever you're in the office with everyone and they're like, right, Jimmy has to be called today, and everyone's like, no, not doing it, and then you roll a dice to see who does, or flip a coin or something to see who does it. Like, nobody wants to speak to him.
I just can't. I can't deal with it. I can't hack it. I just, like, when it happened, I just don't understand why. I just don't understand. I just don't understand.
Wait, do you want me to record you?
No, please don't. I just don't understand why people do that. Like, that's for another time.
That's for another time.
We've run out of
the cameras have spoken.
We're done, boys.
You're
We're done for another week. Hey, yeah. So my camera died, so Ross can't do that. Finishing it up.
My next
he can't finish.
My next run's gonna be.
So thanks for watching, and we'll be back next week with more.
People not charging.
Love you, bye.